It's winter at Antelope Park, the middle of the dry season, and it's bitterly cold. Despite the freezing conditions, this morning, David Yulden's checking the Ngamo Pride. These 7 female lions are about to take part in a groundbreaking release.
This morning I've come up here on this frankly cold and windy morning to see the Ngamo release Pride. This is going to be the last time that they get fed before we release them. So it's just a final chance just to check them over, see how the Pride is acting together now, and see if there are any differences once they're actually released.
This kind of release has only been tried once before. In 2007, 2 males and 5 females were set free in a 500-acre site 2 hours from Antelope Park.
I'm nervous, I'm excited. I can't wait to get the gate open, and these are the keys. Go on, go.
The 2007 Pride included female Fire, whom David had nursed since she was a cub.
Fire's my little kiddie. From the moment I picked her up when she was this big, to see her out here, you know, where she's supposed to be, she can go out and live the life that, you know, she was born to be.
At first, the release went smoothly. Just 3 days in, and the Pride made their first kill.
Our program is working. This is it. This is how it is supposed to be happening.
But then Fire was found separated from the Pride.
What we need to try and work out is whether she's had a fight with Maxwell at some point overnight, and that's injuries, or has she already been at the kill, and that's blood from that.
She's making her way towards the group. There's a bit of growling. And now the whole Pride's together.
Slowly, Fire and the Pride patched up their differences and proved that David's dream could work. Sadly, the release was short-lived. Political and economic upheaval in Zimbabwe forced the team to bring the lions back to Antelope Park. The Pride was split up and the release site closed with the intention of rebuilding it in a new location. 2 years on, and with just days to go, David has no illusions about the task ahead.
Things are going to go wrong. Something might go wrong this time round. But all we can do is prepare these lions as best we can and then give them the opportunities to live as natural a life as possible. That is how the program has to work. And I don't doubt that these lions can do that.
This time, Fire, Ashanti and Kenge from the original release have been joined by 4 other females. The group have bonded well, and David is confident they will make a successful Pride. With this chance of freedom, they'll soon be put to the test.
Overall, you can see that this Pride is nicely settled. They're all interacting well together. Some are playful, some are quiet, some are aggressive, some aren't. Some can hunt, some can't. But they all will have a role in this release group and will contribute to the success of this program.
For David, how his favourite Fire fits in is his greatest concern.
She is a playful, exuberant, stroppy kind of a lion. She does nothing at all to help this Pride hunt. Whenever we've seen them hunting, she literally stands at one side and watches. She's aggressive when it comes to food, so we're going to have to see how her role actually fits when this Pride is released. We think that she's going to be a very good mother because she's extremely protective.
But Fire and the females face one more challenge. Shortly after their release, a male will be introduced to the Pride.
This is Milo, which, as you can see, is an extremely aggressive animal. He may have been raised in captivity, he may have been walked when he was younger, but now he's this old, he has no love of people whatsoever. He's a perfect choice for this Pride. We've seen, just from Milo living next to the girls for quite a long time now, they regularly come up to the fence to greet him, and they get a much more pleasant response than I'm getting now. So I'm going to get out of his way so we don't overexcite him, and then he's going to have something to eat. Now Milo's got some food, he's calmed down a little, and that gives you a good chance to have a really good look at him. He is a perfectly formed male. He's got a great mane on him. It's a nice colour, it's a good length. He's got underbelly hair as well. He is a really strong and healthy animal. And he is going to father the cubs that will eventually get released into the wild. He has a very important role to play.
Milo's success rests on a smooth introduction to the pride, and only time will tell whether they accept him without a fight. The race is on to complete the Ngamo release site. The fence is finished, but now the team must introduce game animals for the lions to hunt. Before that can happen, the project's founder, Andrew Connolly, must make sure there is a continuous supply of fresh water.
Okay, we're bringing a pipeline from about 1 kilometre away for the water supply, because actually in this area there's no natural water during the dry season. So we've been quite fortunate. We found a very natural water pan, and we're bringing water in, and by this evening we'll switch on water. And then when we bring in the impala and the wildebeest and the zebra tomorrow, there will be water for them here.
After the devastating blow of losing the last release site, Andrew is determined that this will be the perfect location for Fire and the Ngamo Pride to spend the rest of their lives.
It is ideal for lions. It's got undulating ground, lots of high hills that the lions can look down on. It's a good windy area, so they can pick up the scent of the animals. So very exciting, a lot of hard work. There's been a lot of time, effort by a lot of people gone into this. So for us, it's a very, very exciting stage.
As the release moves one step closer, at the nursery camp, 5-week-old males Chisa and Chundu and their sister Chobi are just starting their journey through the release program. Born in captivity at Antelope Park, David is being introduced to them for the first time by lion manager Leanne Marnock.
Here we've got the 3 C's. We've got Chundu, who's the biggest one. Then we've got his sister Chobi and his brother Chisa. Now, Chobi's the smallest, her being the female. And Chisa, he's got a sort of longish face and his ears look very pricked up, so that's how we tell them apart. The characters are coming through now. Chundu's got the most active, bouncy character. The other 2, they're a bit quiet, but he's definitely got the best character in this group.
Within the programme here, we take the cubs away from their mother at 3 weeks old. If we take them out too early, the bond to the human can be too strong, and that can give us safety issues later on because they don't really see a boundary. But if we leave it too late, then the cubs have a really hard time bonding at all, don't feel secure, and therefore are unlikely to follow us out into the bush. What we found just over the years is 3 weeks seems to work well, that they can link with us enough to feel safe and follow us, but they still maintain enough distance that our safety, when they get bigger, is the best we can achieve.
It is exciting to see them grow and see the stuff that they do. We don't teach them anything. The instinct is always there. So to see them stalking each other and playing and seeing new things, it's great.
They are young, they do get tired easily, so fairly quickly it's everyone back to the den, cuddle up in a corner because it's freezing this morning, and go to sleep.
For now, Chisa, Chobi and Chundu have plenty of time to relax and keep warm in the comfort of their new home. But in the next few days, David will take them on their first ever bush walk. At Antelope Park in central Zimbabwe, David Youlden is about to release Fire and the Ngamo Pride into a semi-wild enclosure where he hopes they'll breed with red-blooded male Milo. Brought up without human intervention, this pride's cubs will be the first to be released into the wilds of Africa. But with the release just days away, the project hits serious trouble.
There is an enormous fire coming in from our neighbouring farm. At the moment, I mean, it's the entire horizon and rapidly coming in this direction. So today is every hand drop, whatever you're doing, go put this thing out.
With so many lions in enclosures, it's impossible to sedate and evacuate every one of them safely. So the fire must be stopped before it reaches Antelope Park. David's only chance is to gather every available person. Almost 100 staff and volunteers will have to put out the raging bushfire by hand.
Can this group head down to A-frame 3 and help Jerome? Just keep following down there.
Teams are sent to stop the worst fires in as many locations as possible. It's thought that the fire started at a nearby farm, and guide Roy Stephan has been monitoring its progress.
This fire, by the looks of it, 8, maybe 9 k's long. Our main concern, though, is if it gets into the park, it's the lines that we've got strategically placed all over the park. So, yeah, and the wind is against us, so it's going to be a long haul.
Volunteers are fighting a vast 8-kilometre wall of fire.
Once it gets to about there, is see if you can try and come behind it. Guys, this side.
In the chaos, David does his best to get everyone working together, but the fire is getting out of control.
There comes a point where you actually can't do anything at all. All we can do is hope that over successive paths and roads, you get a low point in the wind. This dies down a bit and you can get in and put some out, but it's really hot. No.
The strong wind is fanning the flames, so every opportunity must be taken when the gusts drop. If it's not brought under control, a fire like this could burn hundreds of kilometres, devastate grazing areas, and destroy the park's buildings and lion enclosures.
Just spread along here a bit, just in case it tries to cross.
Finally, David and the team make a stand at the park's boundary fence.
If it jumps the fence, there's really very little to stop it just burning through on this side. So yeah, ideally, we've got 2 small roads either side of this fence. Ideally, we can stop it before it jumps over. Because once it's through here, we ain't ever stopping it.
The fire must be extinguished before it reaches tinder-dry vegetation within the park.
The wind gets behind it and pushes it so quickly. Some of the flames can reach 40 feet. You can't get within any distance to tackle it. As you can see, these things get big and out of control quick.
The fire has already burned an estimated 20,000 acres. But bolstered by more and more volunteers, the team begin to gain the upper hand.
We've got a motor here that's able to pump water out onto, just to try and limit how quickly the fire moves through. But I think we've got enough people here now that hopefully we'll just keep beating it back and eventually we'll win. But it's difficult to breathe.
After 6 exhausting hours, the battle is finally won.
This is the last bit left and should be out in a few moments.
Moments later, there's good news from Andrew Connolly and the rest of the crews.
I think we're getting on top of the situation now. We've got the backbone and lots of people, thank you, and I think we're on top of it.
Next day, and it's business as usual for David. For the last few months, one cub in particular has been the focus of his attention. With his dark orange fur, 10-month-old male Moyo is easy to recognize. But since arriving from outside Antelope Park, he's been withdrawn and uncomfortable around humans. Unlike Moyo, the 2 females in his group, Nika and Carly, were born here as part of the captive breeding program, and they're confident and social. But several months of bushwalks with the playful females has brought reclusive Moyo out of his shell.
Since the last time I walked out with them, Moyo's getting more engaged with the group. Even while the girls were playing, he would still seem to sit off to one side. He's integrating nicely into this group. And they look nice and comfortable together. and they are becoming more engaged with the environment around them. When they're younger, it's all insular. It's just find a spot and, you know, play with the occasional the occasional stick, anything that's like right by them at the time. Whereas now, particularly with Carly, they're actually scanning the whole area around them. They're broadening their horizons and they're developing, and that's what we need for them. We have brought them to a part of the park they don't come to that often, and so we can already see the playful exuberance when they were in an area that they're quite comfortable with, that they spend a lot of time in. Now, except for Mika here, who's decided to play, the other two particularly have really calmed down, and they're just cautiously moving through this area and smelling a lot. It is winter here, and we're in a little sheltered woody area, and I think quite a few of the animals that live in this park shelter in these kind of areas overnight, so I think there's quite a lot of scents for them to pick up. So yeah, Moyo and Carly are really exploring. Mika, who is always the most playful lion, actually she's bored of that now, and she's looking again for a chance to play.
One female in particular is impressing David with her progress.
There was a kudu quite far away, probably about 50 metres from us, but Carly immediately saw it, and that doesn't surprise me because on all the walks that Carly's on, she's out at the front, she's alert to her surroundings, and she quite often is the first to pick up if there's any prey around. Mika's going in the same direction, but I think Mika's just doing that because she's following Carly. I don't think she's necessarily actually seen the animals, and Moya's too busy just mooching around in the long grass to the left. These lions have got to, if they really attempted, do have a chance of bringing down something as small as a young kudu. But that mother is far too observant. They're never going to get anywhere near. But this is fine. Carly's getting some experience, and she's learning that when she moves forward, that animal is going to run away. So next time, hopefully it will twig in her head that if she's a bit more subtle about the whole thing, then she's going to get nearer. It's just about allowing her repeated opportunities to practice.
Carly's got a lot to learn before she makes her first successful kill. And with Moyo and Mika more interested in playing than learning to hunt, she's unlikely to get help anytime soon.
The very playful lions tend not to be particularly good hunters. I mean, they all get it to some extent, but I don't know whether it's just a matter of concentration. You see playful lions just are so easily distracted, and hunting game is a patience game. It takes skill and patience. They simply haven't got it yet, but it will come. It's enough just to explore. I mean, there's so many things out in the bush for them to sniff and play with. It'll keep them busy for a few more months yet, until they're big enough and smart enough to actually have a proper attempt at hunting.
For Fire and the Ngamo Pride, their teamwork will soon be tested. Once released as a pride, they will only eat what they can hunt down themselves. The moment of truth is close. At the release site, the final part of the puzzle is being put in place.
Without water, none of this works. The animals need that, so all of this area should flood out nicely, and we'll have to see once the water's in just how high it goes, but we're hoping that this will be really quite a nice-sized waterhole. I know the pump is on. It's going to take about 20 minutes before the water starts flowing here, and then hopefully, over the next 24 hours, this area will fill up.
Years of hard effort is starting to pay off.
The work that's gone into preparing this site is enormous. I mean, there are so many people in the background, all heading in one direction. It's all for this one pride that's going to be released in here so that they can have cubs. That is what it's all for. We're nearly there now, but each day we're seeing another aspect of the site become finished. In the next couple of days, the prey species are going to arrive. So it's building up. I'm starting to feel really quite excited, but also nervous. I mean, how are the lions going to do? We've seen them do well before, but are they going to do as well this time round? So we've given the lions a bit of a challenge, but I have no doubt that they can overcome it, and I can't wait to watch them try.
David won't have to wait long. In the next few days, Fire and the Ngamo Pride will become the masters of their own wilderness. With everything they need to survive, what happens next is down to them.